The Yeast Within. God's advice based on the parable of the yeast. It was late at night, and Mia lay in bed feeling upset. She had fought with her younger sister Sophia, again over something trivial, like who would sit by the window during dinner. The fight left Mia feeling frustrated and guilty. Even though she wanted to make things right, every time she tried, they ended up arguing again. With a heavy sigh, Mia closed her eyes, wishing she could find a way to resolve things. Slowly, sleep pulled her under. When Mia opened her eyes, she stood in Lola Maria's cozy kitchen. The warm scent of fresh bread filled the air, and the golden light in the room felt comforting, like a soft blanket. Everything around her felt familiar yet magical, like the world outside had faded away.
Lola,
Mia called out. Grandma Maria looked up from the counter, her hands busy kneading dough. A smile spread across her face.
There you are. Come join me.
Mia approached the counter, curious about what her grandmother was making.
what are we baking?
Bread.
Grandma Maria said with a twinkle in her eye.
But it's not just any bread, it's special bread. We will add some yeast to it where the magic happens.
Before Mia could ask more questions, the kitchen door creaked open and a man walked in. He was tall, with a kind smile that immediately made Mia feel at ease. Even though she had never met him, she knew who he was.
"Hello, Mia,"
He said in a warm voice as he pulled out a chair at the kitchen table. Mia's heart raced.
Jesus.
She whispered, feeling a mix of awe and comfort. He nodded with a smile.
"Yes, and I thought we could talk about yeast while we bake."
Grandma Maria continued kneading the dough, allowing Mia and Jesus to talk. Jesus leaned closer, resting his hands on the table.
"Do you remember the story I told about yeast?"
Mia nodded.
You said the kingdom of heaven is like yeast in dough. But I don't understand what that means.
"Let's think about it this way.
Jesus said.
Yeast is small, so tiny you can barely see it. But when mixed into dough, it spreads throughout, changing the whole batch. It's a slow process, and at first you can't see it working. But eventually the bread rises because of it."
Mia furrowed her brow.
So, small things can make a big difference?
"Exactly.
Jesus replied, his eyes sparkling with warmth.
When you show love, patience, or kindness to someone especially, and it's hard, those little moments are like yeast. They might seem insignificant, but they can change everything over time."
Mia thought about her sister.
But what if it feels like nothing's changing? I try to be nice to Sophia, but we fight again. It's like nothing ever gets better.
Jesus' expression softened with understanding.
Love, like yeast, takes time to grow. You won't always see the change right away, but every kind word, every act of patience, and every apology adds up. Slowly, those small moments spread and transform your relationship, just like yeast makes dough rise.
Grandma Maria gently lifted the cloth covering a bowl of dough. It had doubled in size, soft and airy.
See,
She said, showing Mia.
the yeast was working all along, even though you couldn't see it.
Mia felt something shift inside her, a sense of hope blooming in her heart.
So, even when it's hard, I need to keep trying?
Jesus nodded.
Yes, Mia, love isn't always about grand gestures. It's in the small, everyday choices. And remember, I'm always with you, helping you along the way.
Mia smiled, warmth flooding her heart.
I think I understand now.
Grandma Maria gave her an encouraging wink.
The yeast is already working, my lovely. Just give it time.
Suddenly, the warm kitchen began to fade, and Mia felt herself being pulled back into her bed. She opened her eyes to the light of morning, the dream still vivid in her mind. She sat up, her thoughts drifting to Sophia, who was still asleep in the next room. Today could be different. Maybe she could try something small, something kind. Later that morning, Mia was back in the kitchen with Grandma Maria. They were preparing to bake bread together, a comforting ritual that warmed the house.
Lola, can we make something special for Sophia?
Mia asked as she measured out flour and water. Grandma Maria smiled knowingly.
What do you have in mind, mi querida?
What if we make her a little loaf of bread?
Mia suggested.
You know how much she loves it.
Excellent idea. Let's make 2 loaves, one for her and one for us.
Grandma Maria said, her eyes sparkling. As they worked together, Mia mixed the ingredients and watched Grandma Maria add the yeast to the dough.
See how it starts small but makes a big difference.
Grandma Maria said as she mixed it in. Mia nodded, feeling inspired.
Just like what Jesus said in my dream.
When the dough was ready, they placed it in a bowl to rise.
Now we wait.
Grandma Maria said, covering it with a cloth. Just then, Sophia wandered into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes.
What are you guys doing?
She asked, curiosity piqued. Mia smiled brightly.
We're making bread. Would you like to help?
Sophia's face lit up.
Can I shape the dough?
Of course.
Mia replied. As they worked together, shaping the dough and laughing, the tension between them slowly faded. Each moment felt like a small act of love, each sprinkle of flour, each shared giggle, each touch of patience. After a while, they placed the shaped loaves in the oven, and the delightful smell of fresh bread began to fill the kitchen. When the timer went off, they pulled the golden loaves out of the oven, and the sight of them made both sisters smile.
Wow, they look amazing.
Sophia exclaimed, her eyes wide. Mia grinned.
Just wait until you taste them.
Mia felt a sense of joy wash over her as they shared the warm bread. This was what Jesus had meant, the small acts of love that spread like yeast, making everything rise. And at that moment, she knew that even the most minor things could change everything.